we need to start making more conscious material choices.
I set up an initiative called Make Fashion Circular.
It's a tsunami of change.
Welcome to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's DIF, the online event series that aims to inspire action and change mindsets. We bring you the latest in projects, research, thinking, and all things to do with the circular economy that will inspire action. My name is Rhaenyra O'Donnell, and I'm going to be your host for this session. I'm the Higher Education Lead here at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. As a reminder, this is an interactive session. We would really love to have your comments and your questions come to us, which I can then put to our guest. Please use the box on the right-hand side of your screen, or you can use the Twitter handle ThinkDiff. In this session, we're going to be hearing about Women4Climate, and my guest today is going to be talking all about how this initiative helps to support and empower people to think and act differently. So I'd like to introduce my guest, Sylvia Marcon. She is the head of the chair's office at the C40s Climate Leadership Group. Welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you.
So, Sylvia, I'm going to jump straight in there, and I'm going to say, why the need for the focus on women? I mean, we talk about new climate leaders, but what does gender have to do with this?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for the invitation. I will maybe do a step forward and backwards, and think about climate change in a more as a more global and complex issue, which is unfair, because the most impactful person today and the vulnerable population today impacted by climate change are not the ones that historically have produced the most greenhouse gas emission, and yet they are at the forefront in dealing with the consequences of this. So climate change is unfair. And on top of this, it's unfair on different vulnerable populations, which are, for at least 50% of them, composed by women. So there is two different layers here and interacting. So why women are more impacted than others? Because gender is a social construct identity that interplays with a lot of other inequalities, being economic. We know that women compose 70% of the most poor people globally. So 70% of the people that today live with less than $1 per day are women. So they also compose, let's say, this big category of vulnerable poor people. And then there is different reasons why they are more impacted by the consequences of climate change. If we look at the past 10, 15 years of climate-related disaster, the numbers are just astonishing. 90% of the people that died in the 1991 Bangladesh cyclone were women. And just to look at some more European perspective, in the big heat wave that struck France in 2003, out of the 14,000 people, the majority were women. 60 to 70% were women. So these are too high number to overlook them, and are just the initial number that we try to gather and to understand this more complex problem. And this is just about gender. I think it's a more complicated issue if we look at education, if we look at how we deal with gender in a daily life. Of course, there are difference based on culture. Why women are more prompt to die in a climate-related disaster by flooding is because culturally we do not teach them to swim, or we teach less women to swim than men. So when the flooding arrives, they just cannot deal with them. In some other culture, women are still the primary caregiver, so they are looking for elder people, they are looking for children, and when the climate-related event and disaster arrive, they are the ones who stay behind and are still taking care of these people. So this is the first part of the answer. Then there is the composition on women leadership that we can discuss.
Absolutely go into it, and I think you've given a really great number of reasons why it is so important to talk about gender. I think we've got a great image, don't we, that you would like to share with us that talks through the gender expertise. And do you want to just talk us through that a little bit, that gives a little bit more substance to why women are so important in this conversation?
Yes, we work with on this infographic to let's say put all the dots together on the natural disaster, clean tech, land ownership. We, for example, know that traditionally, because of gender role assignment in different culture, women are the most compose the most part of the labor in the food production, but yet because of local context, they are denied in most of, in a big number of countries, the land ownership and the decision making in power. So this also let us understand that probably women leadership is important at the global level. We know that it's growing, but only 30% of national delegation in the United Nations climate negotiation are led by women. It's growing, it's great, but it's still not enough. But probably the woman leadership that we are looking at when we talk about gender expertise goes also beyond politics. There are several sectors where impacted by climate change, but it can also probably the source of the solution to fight against climate change, where women are underrepresented. If we only look at the build sector, and all the composition of the build sector, transport, architecture, urban planning, waste, water management. These are all sectors where women are underrepresented, and yet sectors where we will need to have their perspective, their expertise to find solutions that really shape inclusive climate action plans and inclusive climate action generally.
Thank you. I mean, that's a really comprehensive answer. You talked a little bit about leadership there, and I'd like to now ask you about your Women4Climate program. So how did it get started, and what is your involvement in that?
Yes, so the Women4Climate program started about 2 years ago on an idea of our chair, Mayor Anne Hidalgo, the Mayor of Paris, and C40 chair. So C40 is a network of about more than 90 cities globally, working together on ambitious climate plans. So C40 is a charity that works with cities and supports cities in developing and implementing climate plans that stick to the target of the Paris Agreement. So maintaining the growth of the global temperature at less than 1.5 degrees, which is a big challenge. So it needs the efforts of a lot of different expertise. And with the Women4Climate initiative, we make the case for one of these expertise to be the one led by women. We launched the Women4Climate initiative with the idea of really supporting emerging climate leaders. Again, supporting women in finding their space, finding their voice, and bringing their expertise at the table. And we have developed the initiative around 3 main work streams, one being a mentorship scheme that we develop with cities. So it's a decentralized mentorship scheme where cities call for women to apply, and we support the cities to select the women, the project led by women. We run a research and case studies with cities to, again, better understand these different interplay between climate-related effects and how they impact different vulnerable populations as women. And then we also support innovation led by women with Women4Climate Tech Challenge, which is an international context for women to apply and for city to pilot the winner project.
You've mentioned your research, and I know we've got another infographic that's come out of your research, and I wonder if you'd just like to talk to us a little bit about what's going on there.
Yes, so let's say that we published the first report of the Women4Climate initiative last February. And the main case is for cities to understand that they can act by including a gender perspective in the climate plan. So we were making the case for cities to understand how a urban plan is gendered, how transport is gendered, how the energy sector is gendered. And one of the most important area of development to make sure that we include a gender perspective in the climate plans of the city and more generally in any public policy of the city is by create more gender-responsive participatory spaces and planning for, and so gathering together citizens in local planning and making this space at the table of decision making for these women and women expertise.
I mean, it's really interesting. I think before we went on air, we were talking about particularly city planning and women, and how architecture is a sort of male-dominated environment, and what would happen if architecture was a female-dominated environment. And I think it's really interesting that these sorts of gender issues that you're exploring through Women4Climate. Which leads me on to, how did you get involved in this? Like, what is Sylvia's story in all of this?
So I work for C40 since Mayor Hidalgo election at the office of the chair. So it was really her idea, and it was her idea to pilot an initiative as the first women chairing this network, and also with the willing to make visible all these incredible women today chairing and leading cities as Paris, Tokyo, Washington, Bogota, and much more, Freetown in Africa. And I definitely buy in this idea, and I was completely on board to design this initiative with the idea to really design a citizen-led and citizen engagement initiative. So looking at how cities can better design their policy by including citizenship and active citizenship. So I have a background in NGO and environmental NGO since more than 10 years ago. I have always been interested from probably a very early stage in women rights, in also gender-related thematic. Yeah. Ecofeminism is a probably big cultural background of my personal development. So I was really happy to be able to bring this together. And I have worked with several people at C40 that have also made this possible. So from this global perspective, let's say, narrowed down the citizen engagement at the city level. And I have never worked before with cities, so it was also an interesting way to bring these two expertise together and see how the local authorities can be really drivers in climate action.
What an exciting opportunity to be able to take this forward. We're going to pick up a little bit more about the mentorship programme. But before I ask you some questions about that, we have a really great video clip from some women who have been part of this programme, telling us what it means for them. So here it goes.
For me, it means empowerment,
inspiration,
energy, and opportunity.
The program gave me visibility,
a community of strong women that I could consult with, talk with, and present my ideas to.
It's just been a giant inspiration for me to kind of start my own thing and take this risk.
Great way to get more public engagement into the area of sustainability and climate change.
If you're going to apply for the program, come in with an open mind.
Be bold and believe in your idea.
Believe in yourself.
Just go for it, because you have nothing to lose.
And so much to gain, so just apply. Just do it.
Today I've met so many wonderful mentees who continue to inspire me and motivate me every day, and you'll forever be a part of the Women4Climate movement.
Set of voices to hear, great advocates for your programme. Can you talk to us about what the mentor programme is? I know you've mentioned bits, but let's go into a little bit more detail. What do you get out of the mentorship programme?
Sure, and thank you for having shown the video, because all the mentees cannot be here. There are more than 250 today, wow. So it's a great way for them to be present and making the case for this mentorship program. We really wanted an initiative that support these women, scale their project, support them with visibility, as they mentioned, and bring them together. So it's also about solidarity, and it's also about collaboration. And this is what they get out from the global network of C40, being able to connect with women that are developing similar projects in other cities, and that might fighting with the similar challenge or might be different, but might have the solution for them to overcome. So an initiative that also help, so this is the global aspect, what they get out of this, but then at the local and personal plan, A mentorship scheme is about a relation with a more senior person. So we help cities in launching the call for application for these women-led projects. We help them select, but we also support them in finding the right pair for the mentees. So young women are supported for about 10 months from a senior person, most of them women, but we have strong men also coming to on board of the mentorship scheme. They work together means that they really met every month for about 1 to 2 hours, and they go into the details of the project and into the development of the project. And a mentorship scheme should also help them in overcome the barriers, gender-related barriers that they can face in fundraising for the project, in meeting and building their first professional network, and we have run some first evaluation of the mentorship scheme that have already concluded. And it's really great to see how in different ways these projects help different people to overcome different barriers. And I think that the one of just getting out and being visible and really making your idea into action is a barrier that it's not just gender related, but is again additionally probably a barrier to overcome for women that have not or are the only one in an engineer company thinking about a more sustainable solution to develop a project.
I mean, I've had a look through your website and I think the mentees look fantastic, but I'm really impressed with who you've got as your mentors. You've got some amazing women from all around the world, mayors and leaders. How do you get them all involved?
This is true. Sometimes I really hope to be also a mentee and be mentored by these incredible women and take the time to ask them all the questions we would like to get out. I think it's on a voluntary basis. What we really ask the mentors to do is to get on board and provide their time once a month to sit down with the mentees. But most of them are really happy to go way beyond this first engagement, and they found creative ways to do so. I have an example in mind of some mentors that instead of thinking about 3, 4, 5 people that they should introduce their mentees to, they just suggest for the mentees to accompany them once a month to a public event where they are speaker or where they are attendants. And this is a way for them really to share and open the door of their network and probably connect with the right people at the right moment, their mentees. So we explain them what the project is about. We explain what the mentees are getting out. And some of these mentors have been mentees in the past, so they know very well what is the added value of being in this position. And the best thing is they always conclude the experience by saying that this has been very helpful for them too. So sharing is also a very empowering feeling, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, we've just had a question come in from the audience, so thank you for that. And actually, it's a question that I was about to ask you anyway, which is, what are the main unexpected learnings that you personally and generally have gotten out of the programme?
Unexpected learnings.
Unexpected learnings.
I guess that, and it's quite general, I have been running the local mentorship scheme in Paris for the past 3 years. We have the first year 10, then 10 again, then 20 this year, selected project. And at the very beginning, when with the colleagues we were drafting the call for application and sending out, we were really expecting most of the project being a community-led project, NGOs, campaign, advocacy campaign. And lately, this past year, most of the projects that the women wants to develop are actually a small startup or initial startup of such impact projects. So I find it interesting, and it was quite unexpected for us to think that these, they are investing in other space, which is also very needed, because we need a transformational model. We are the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, so you know very well about circular economy is very important to shift out from the model we are all in. And yeah, we were not expecting this, but we are very happy to to see this.
Sounds like it was a really unexpected thing, but a really good thing. How do people apply to get involved? So what is the application process? Is it open to anybody? Just tell us a little bit around how you actually get involved.
Yes, it's very easy, I guess. Once we have a call for application ready, it's online on our website, which is w4c.org. It's an online form that should be filled by a woman. The criteria is to actually live in the city that is announced in the call for application, because there are, of course, a lot of in-person meetings. Normally, the call for applications stay open for about a month or a month and a half. We then review and collect all the application. We look at them with the city, and normally the city hosts an in-person jury session where the women applying actually go and pitch the project and maybe answer to some of the questions of the jury. We always invite the mentors to be part in the jury, because then the decision comes up quite naturally. They get interested in a project and they think they can help with the development of the project. So the peer and the couples born very easily. We do not use an inclusive definition of female, so everyone identified as a female can apply to the mentorship scheme. And yes, check out the website. I think it's quite easy.
Super. So to anybody watching, if you are interested in applying, go to the website and the information will be there. We're going to take a small break from talking to Sylvia at the moment. We're going to hear from another inspiring woman called Areti Marco Polo. And we're going to watch a clip from last year's DIF, from a DIF film, which is available on the Think DIF website. So here Areti is talking about the use of technology in design.
Now we are at a moment that there is a big change into how we design. Our designs, they are now being informed by parameters that until now, first of all, we didn't have access to, and second of all, we didn't have the manual or intellectual power to work with that, no? Computation is helping us to deal with a big amount of data, and this allows us to create designs that they are much more optimized and they are much more informed on parameters, from parameters that they are relevant to what we want to achieve. Sustainability parameters, environmental parameters, users' desires parameters, resources that surround what we construct. All those have been basically numbers that they were very difficult to manage to bring together into a design decision.
Welcome back, and welcome back to Sylvia. That was a really great clip and I hope you enjoyed it. And just a reminder to those who are watching, please send us your comments and questions. We really enjoy getting them, and I quite enjoy asking Sylvia some of the unexpected questions that come on in. So Sylvia, let's talk about the tech challenge. You mentioned that as one of the key pillars of your programme. And I'm going to read this because I think these statistics are quite important to get right. And your research says that women only represent 17% of employees, 4% of software engineers, and 1% of leadership positions in the combined science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so the STEM sector. And that research shows that startups led by men receive over 16 times more funding than those led by women. So how is your tech challenge aiming to challenge these statistics?
Good question. We were surprised when we look at these stats, of course, but not that much. If we actually look at who are prompting today on the global scene, the technology sector, these are not women. And if they are women, it's not a diversified panel of women. So we really wanted to provide a part of the project trying to challenge this statistic. And more importantly, we know that innovation and city inspire innovation is at the core of the work we do with cities at C40. Our network is about sharing good ideas and trying to replicate it locally. So making sure that more advanced cities in the development of the climate plan or piloting their 1.5 degrees climate plan can share the knowledge with the less advanced cities. So we look at this model and we say, great, let's run a competition for climate innovation in cities, but only women can apply. And let's make this incredible bunch of women more visible and prompting also their innovation to be piloted by city. So it's not a challenge where only the women participate, cities participate too. So participate in a way that we think it's quite creative and quite engaging. We send out a call for application, and the call for application is actually out right now. Okay. It has been launched in October 11, and it will stay open until January 31st. And any women in any city can apply. We have 3 different thematic categories where she can apply, and we have 4 incredible cities ready to pilot their solution, so the winner solution in their cities. And the cities are Stockholm, Los Angeles, Lisbon, and Tel Aviv-Yafo. So we're really happy to look in the next months of what kind of application will arrive and what city are happy to pilot the project.
And so this isn't the first time that you're running your tech challenge, is it? Can you give us a couple of examples of some of the challenges that have been presented through this competition?
Yes, it's the second edition. We piloted the first one last year with the city of Paris and Tel Aviv, which were looking at general climate women-led solution. And we are currently piloting 2 projects in Paris and Tel Aviv. The project in Paris, the winner is Elodie Grimoine, which is a wonderful young woman who have come up with a solution to urban heat waves and providing not just a shadow in public space in the cities, but also the opportunity to vegetalize space and green space like rooftop or places in the city where you cannot actually plant a tree because from some infrastructure barriers. And it's a very important solution because heat waves are a problem and a very important aspect of the climate plan of the city. So she's piloting now 3 of these. Urban canopy, it's a kind of metal coral with real plants and vegetables growing up on this. And Ine Braverman is the innovator who has won the Tech Challenge in Tel Aviv. And she has an incredible project. She had just won actually last week the UNFCCC Climate Innovation Prize, so we're very proud of her, of course, and we're following her progression. She has created EcoWave Power, which is a clean, renewable energy model of and system and facility to create energy from the movement of waves. So she was piloting this project in the port of Gibraltar, and she's now able to pilot it in the port of Tel Aviv. And we hope, again, much more.
Those sound like amazing projects, and I'm assuming will people be able to watch their progress through your website?
Definitely. There are updates regularly on the website, and we are really happy to share the information as much as possible because, as you mentioned, we know that women in this sphere are facing some barriers. When they are asked to pitch the project, there are some gender-based questions that have been asked to her. Instead of focusing on the potential of the project, they focus on the risk of the project, and research say that these are really gender-based. So if we can help more women entering in this sphere. And I think at the end of the day, it's also a lot about role modeling, so making sure that these potential profile of a women are visible as our female mayor leading incredible cities are visible. This is what can also change the mind of young women hesitating between one career or another, hesitating on their potential, should or can be, and just put yourself out and apply.
Sounds incredibly exciting. I mean, I know you did mention the timings, but let's just go back over those again. So you've got the call for applications is open at the moment, currently. Closes on the 31st of January, and it's open to anybody, anywhere in the world who lives in any city. Did I get that right?
Yes, definitely.
Brilliant. I mean, it really does sound like a fantastic initiative for kind of young female entrepreneurs to get involved with, and I think it sounds really exciting. We've had another question come in from Daria, and the question is, you talked a lot about which industries need some change in terms of the gender, where women need to take the lead. But are there any other industries that you feel need more change or a louder voice is needed for women to be able to take the lead?
I will say all industries. I don't think there is a place where women voices should not be heard. I think really the end game is just making all the decision-making table inclusive as much as possible. So I will say that in all the businesses, women should probably included more at the board and in any structure of decision-making in the public sector. I think it's really, really broad, and it's not about making the case for more women voices to be heard. It should just be equitable. And within the women's sphere, I include also all the diversity that women can represent. It's, again, another layer of the probably inclusivity and diversity that we want to prompt with the initiative.
Okay, thank you. We're going to see a short clip now that will let you know about all the other sessions that are available in the upcoming days as part of this DIF. We'll be back in a minute.
Hi there, it's Clem from the DIF team, and I'm here to tell you about some of the sessions that are coming up on the second day of the DIF. At 1 p.m. today, we will discuss the role of learning in the transition to a circular economy. Later on, at 3 p.m., we will learn about the new generation of women climate leaders, and at 5 p.m., we'll learn about biomimicry. We hope to see you there, and as always, don't forget to use the hashtag ThinkDiff on Twitter to comment and ask any of your questions, and you can catch up on anything you missed and find the full schedule at thinkdiff.co or on the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's YouTube channel.
Welcome back. I hope that has encouraged you to tune in to some more sessions over the next couple of days. Back to you, Sylvia. I mean, we've talked about the Tech Challenge, we've talked about the mentorship program, but one of the other things that I spied when I went onto your website was the annual conference. And it really does look like it was a fantastic affair. Why is it so important to have such a really great affair to be able to celebrate all your efforts?
Yes, the video we shared previously has been recorded at the last annual conference. The first one has been organized in New York, second in Mexico, and the last one in Paris. Why it is important? Because it's really the moment where these emerging women leaders meet with incredible leaders as the mayor, working with our network, but also as incredible climate leaders as Christiana Figueres, who has led the UN FCC for several years, as well as Vandana Shiva, who has been a role model for, I think, a lot of women in the sustainability area. So this is really where it became, I mean, all the dots are connected. These women can interact easily with them. And we do not just run the event, it's also a gathering for the mentees to meet, to work together. We have different side session, not public, but for them to join. And every time we ask them one of the most important takeaway of the experience, the conference always came up with an interactive time that they have really made the most out of it. So yeah, it is important. The next one will be coming up in April 1st in Australia, Sydney, which is also a very interesting space to talk about climate change and climate-related solution. We have just seen the bush mega fires coming up in the last hours. So it's one of the regions of the world where we also experience a lot of climate-related impact, and we really need to prompt a rapid solution. We have an incredible group of mentees in Sydney, 20 mentees and 20 mentors. A lot of women engaged in the city of Sydney, on both sides mentorship of the mentorship program. So we're looking forward for them to host this event and for the other mentees to join and experience the magic of the conference.
Australia, that's yeah, that'll be a really exciting event. Is that can anybody apply to go? Is it invite only? Is it only open to your mentees and mentors?
It's an on-invite event, normally for 300 to 400 people. We of course, work locally for local people to join the event. But we always live stream the event on different platforms, so everyone can follow the event online. I did it in the past and I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So I invite everyone to do this experience, because it's not just about conference. We try to also work on the format of the conference. So it's definitely, as the DIF session, something I will recommend to everyone.
Well, certainly watching the video, the women who were speaking there were really enthusiastic about it, and it looked from their point of view like it was a really, really great event to attend. So certainly we'll all be looking out for the online streaming of that, albeit at some strange hour of the day if you're watching it from the UK.
For sure.
But it sounds like it will be fantastic. I mean, I think we've really gone through quite a lot of detail today the Women4Climate programme, and you've talked about your kind of 3 key pillars and what the programme is about and how it links to the C40s. I think for me, it's been really interesting to hear your take on why gender is so important in this. But actually, I also really liked the point where you said the other aspects of diversity that women represent. And I think, we were talking before this around older people, and you were saying that, older women are particularly challenged when it comes to things like fuel poverty. So I like the fact that you recognise that it's not just about women, but it's actually about the other diversity groups that women seem to represent. We're going to end shortly, but before we do, I think I want to give you the chance to say, for those who are watching, what are the 3 key takeaway points that you would like people to remember at the end of this session?
Right, only 3. So probably the first one is engage in conversation around climate and gender with your peer, with your local constituency, with your mayor. I think it's always interesting, and it's always we think that there is a lot of knowledge shared around climate, but climate, it's a very complex issue, and we want to make it shareable and possible for everyone to engage. So I'm really encourage everyone, if maybe you have not been engaged so far in climate because of climate change, try the gender perspective, and it might be more easy for you to engage the conversation. And probably another takeaway will be for women to believe in themselves. We see through the mentorship scheme, the tech challenge, that self-confidence is something that still, because of the social construct around gender, lack in women and young women. So believe in yourself, get out, and your idea can definitely be experimented in a big city if you believe in them and if your work is serious, as the work of everyone. So apply for the mentorship scheme on the tech challenge, because it's a good way to get engaged. And probably the last one is advising. Close to Christmas, it might be of interest of a lot of people. A publication we have worked with with Friends of the Earth and C40 Cities. It's called Why Women Will Save the Planet, so a quite provocative title. It's full of inspiring reading of incredible women, researchers, mayors, and currently only available in English, but we hope to translate in different language. And again, this can really prompt the conversation, and we hope make the case for a more inclusive decision-making around climate change and cities and women. So looking forward for your feedback.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much to Sylvia for joining us in the studio today. And please don't forget, there are a number of other sessions as part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's DIF over the next 3 days. So come and join us at thinkdiff.co. Use the Twitter handle hashtag thinkdiff. And just to thank all our audience who were listening in, thank you so much for taking part.
We need to start making more conscious material choices.
Set up an initiative called Make Fashion Circular.
It's a tsunami of change.